From the Headline News Network, this is TBS NewsWatch.
Will fail in the committee.
Over my dead body.
President Reagan says he'll fight on for the Supreme Court nomination of Judge Robert Bork. But Bork or no Bork, the High Court began its 1988 term on schedule. Headline News, I'm Lynn Russell. The White House has no plans to back off in its battle to place Robert Bork on the High Court. But today, 4 more senators joined the anti-Bork brigade. Senator Alan Cranston of California, the Democrats' chief vote counter, says his latest tally shows 53 likely no votes, 42 yes, 5 senators undecided. Frank Sesno reports.
Robert Bork, under siege, went to Capitol Hill to see if there's anything he can do to salvage his nomination, meeting with Nebraska Senator David Carnes, inclined to support, he says, but still unannounced. However, there was more bad news for Bork. Senate Majority Leader Robert Byrd, a member of the Judiciary Committee, announced his opposition to Bork and said the committee Tuesday should vote to disapprove.
I'm convinced that it's doomed and is very divisive, and I think it's important that the White House send up another nomination, one hopefully that will be a conservative.
That view was echoed by another Judiciary Committee member, Arizona Democrat Dennis DeConcini, previously undecided.
And, I have concluded that Judge Bork is not best for Arizona, this country, or for the Supreme Court.
What's more, Weicker of Connecticut and Chafee of Rhode Island joined a handful of Republicans opposed to Bork. But GOP Senator Nancy Casablanca tried to inject some hope, saying she will vote for Bork.
But I think the vitality that he would bring, the dedication and the integrity that he would bring is important to the Supreme Court today.
It may well be too little too late, but the president says he's not giving up.
Mr. President, looks like the Bork nomination will fail in the committee.
Over my dead body.
The president is lobbying one-on-one. So are his top lieutenants, and pro-Bork interest groups have mobilized on Capitol Hill. But an influential, key, undecided Southern Democrat is speaking skeptically.
The right of privacy, the right to marry, the right to acquire knowledge, the right to travel. Judge Bork doesn't find that right anywhere in the Constitution.
White House officials say the situation is pretty dicey, but insist the president will not abandon Robert Bork. Officials here insist the Bork confirmation is still winnable, so they say there's no discussion of alternative nominees. Yet, as one senior official confides, nobody here can be described as optimistic. Frank Sesno, CNN, the White House.
President Reagan made his comments about the Bork nomination in response to a reporter's question, which was against the wishes of some educators. The question was asked after a ceremony for the secondary school recognition program, and the participants felt that it broke the mood of the day. The reporters insisted they were doing their job.
Mr. Donaldson, I think all of us here today are very disappointed in you.
We're disappointed in you, Adam.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
You may think that you have a right to dictate in the Rose Garden when we work here and have worked here for years to try to get information from the president. Well, we don't concede that. We did not disturb your ceremony. Your ceremony went on, sir, without anything.
Your ceremony transpired. It was fine.
The president had left.
It was not disturbed when we asked a question as the president was leaving.
There was no disturbing of your ceremony, not a peep from us.
Well, you don't have to stay and listen.
Will this discussion be in the news?
I would leave if I could. If you have a newsletter,
if somebody chooses to put it in the news, it will. It's open and available.
Although it was one justice short, the Supreme Court began its new term on time this first Monday in October. David French reports on the bench's busy first day.
Despite being one shy on the bench, the Supreme Court let fly a blizzard of decisions large and small. 2 actions are aimed at private clubs. In a New York City case, the justices agreed to rule on a state law letting large men's clubs like the Cosmos turn away women and minorities on grounds of privacy. The other case has power, sex, and the glamour of exclusivity all rolled into one. It's about the Bohemian Club near San Francisco, which holds a sybaritic summer week of fun and frolic for 2,000 members, including President Reagan, Vice President Bush, several cabinet members, and a conservative who's who of industry and the arts. Because the exclusively male membership likes sometimes to stroll nude, the club hires no women. California claims violation of state civil rights laws.
The reason it's so important is that if you can start to draw lines and say that there are some places that women are not going to be allowed to work, then that line can get pushed farther and farther over until women are absolutely excluded from a whole range of jobs.
In order to preserve the integrity of the club's activities, as a men's club, it necessarily needs employees who are also men.
The male-only membership issue was not involved in the case. The justices refused to hear former White House aide Michael Deaver's challenge to the constitutionality of the 1978 law creating special prosecutors. Deaver was indicted on perjury charges by an independent counsel looking into possibly unlawful actions by Deaver on behalf of public relations clients. The justices said they will take on the issue of whether serial killer Theodore Bundy was mentally competent at the time of his trial for the kidnapping and murder of a 12-year-old Florida girl. Bundy is sentenced to die. Bundy is suspected in the sex crime murders of 36 other women in the West. The justices refused a request that the giant lawsuit against Union Carbide for the Bhopal chemical spill that killed more than 2,000 people be moved from India to the United States. Some estimate it would cost the company up to $5 billion more to face a U.S. trial. And a New Mexico lawyer failed in his attempt to have the High Court ban the government from ever assassinating Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi. While the court has agreed to hear several controversial cases, from abortion to the death penalty, the lack of a ninth associate justice will not lead to legal paralysis. While a tie vote would merely affirm the decision of a lower court, it would not become national precedent all courts would have to follow. And anytime the 8 justices see a real Donnybrook coming, they can postpone a decision until the last seat is filled. David French, CNN at the Supreme Court.
This just in, the sole survivor of a shooting rampage that killed 7 family members in Missouri last week has now been charged with murder. The mass killing originally was blamed on a 14-year-old boy who, it was speculated, had been stabbed to death in self-defense by his uncle. But now the boy's uncle has been charged with 7 counts of first-degree murder. As tensions continue to flare in the Persian Gulf, U.S. officials continue their search for the co-pilot of an American military helicopter that crashed today. Jim Clancy has this report.
The Marine helicopter was approaching the U.S. Navy command ship LaSalle off the coast of Bahrain when it crashed. U.S. Navy officials said it was an accident caused by mechanical failure and did not involve hostile fire. Navy helicopters were over the scene Monday searching for the co-pilot. 3 other U.S. servicemen are in good condition after being rescued from the water. Iraqi jets streaked more than 500 miles over the Gulf to hit Iran's oil terminal at Larak Island near the Strait of Hormuz. Shipping sources said 5 oil tankers were hit, including the Seawise Giant, the largest supertanker in the world. Another tanker was set ablaze, and Iran radio broadcast appeals for firefighting vessels to come to the scene. At least 15 tugboats responded to battle the blaze. In response to Iraq's increased airstrikes, Iran stepped up its artillery attacks on Basra and other cities along the border war front. Iraq confirmed that 24 hours of heavy shelling aimed at population centers killed more than a dozen civilians and wounded scores of others. A large number of Iraqi warplanes staged raids on the Iranian islands of Cyrus and Farsi in the northern Gulf. Farsi Island has repeatedly come under attack because it is used as a base for Revolutionary Guards who staged speedboat raids on shipping in the waterway. Italian warships entered the Gulf for the first time Monday, escorting the 31,000-ton cargo ship Jolly Turquese into Dubai. A convoy of 9 Japanese ships left the Gulf without military escort and were promptly challenged by an Iranian warship as they entered the Strait of Hormuz. The Iranians allowed the convoy to proceed after questioning the captains of 4 vessels. Military pressure against Iran is building. At the same time, it is growing more isolated from its Gulf neighbors. Iran is particularly angered by the support some Gulf states have given the U.S. naval presence. Monday, Iran threatened to widen the war and launch attacks against any country in the region that aided the Great Satan. Jim Clancy, CNN The Gulf.
We'll be back.
Introducing Amber Vision, the most amazing breakthrough in vision technology since glasses were invented. These super glasses actually improve vision indoors, outdoors, day or night. We guarantee it. Look, Amber Vision blocks the blurring blue rays, the same rays that cause haze and fog.
Everything is so much crisper and clearer.
I can't believe my own eyes. They're amazing.
Amber Vision blocks 100% of the dangerous ultraviolet light with UV 400, the best protection for your eyes. You'll wear these high-fashion glasses all year round, and one size fits all.
Oh, I can't believe the difference.
Catalogs offer similar glasses for $59.95, but now you can order Amber Vision for just $10 on this special offer. Seeing is believing, so order Amber Vision today.
Clip-on model is also available. Credit card users call 1-800-257-1234. That's 1-800-257-1234. Or send just $10 plus $2.50 shipping to Amber Vision, Box 7500, Atlanta, Georgia, 30357.
Joy to the world.
That's George Jones and one of 50 Yuletide favorites in Christmas country style. This collection features the most popular Christmas songs performed by the greatest stars of country music.
Hark the herald angels sing. Noel, Noel. Oh, come, all ye faithful. Chestnuts roasting on an open fire.
Christmas country style. 50 songs on 3 LPs or 3 cassettes. A great value for only $19.95. Here's how to order.
Have your credit card ready and call toll-free. 1-800-257-1234. That's 1-800-257-1234. Or send $19.95 plus $3 for shipping to Christmas Country Style, Box 7500, Atlanta, Georgia, 30357.
Tuesday night.
The 9000 series has a perfect operational record.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Stanley Kubrick's masterpiece, 2001, A Space Odyssey. 8:05 Eastern on Superstation TBS Tuesday night.
The trial of reputed Colombian cocaine king Carlos Lader is underway in Jacksonville, Florida, under heavy security. Jury selection began this morning. Officials say it could take a week. A man was arrested at the courthouse for trying to smuggle in a 9-inch knife, but it's not known if he was headed to Lader's trial. Lader's charged with racketeering, conspiracy, and cocaine smuggling and could face life imprisonment. Authorities say his organization is responsible for 80% of the cocaine in the United States. In Riverhead, New York, a former high school cheerleader fainted when a judge sentenced her to 6 months in the county jail. 18-year-old Cheryl Pearson admitted paying a classmate to kill her father, saying it was the only way to escape his sexual abuse. Christiane Amanpour reports.
A former cheerleader, Cheryl Pearson, was sobbing as she walked out of court after being sentenced for setting up her father's murder. 6 months in prison and 5 years probation.
She was so sorry about what prompted her to do everything, and she understands that what she did was wrong, and she wasn't looking to be found not guilty.
She fainted upon hearing she would go to jail, but by most accounts, the sentence was not harsh, the judge deciding she was a juvenile committing an adult crime. Nearly 2 years ago, when she was 16, Cheryl paid a classmate $400 to kill her father because she said he was forcing her to have sex with him 2 or 3 times a day for 5 years. She pleaded guilty to manslaughter charges this summer, but the sordid details of her story hit the headlines during sentencing hearings over the past few weeks. It's a story in which she said her father started sexually abusing her shortly after her mother became terminally ill. She said she would have killed herself, but didn't, for fear of leaving her younger sister to suffer the same abuse. Abuse Cheryl says she endured for years without telling anyone because she was too ashamed. Cheryl's brother supported her story, but her grandmother and aunt accused her of lying. For others like her, Cheryl has this message.
Just hang in there and go back home. I don't know.
In sentencing her, the judge admitted receiving hundreds of letters requesting clemency for Cheryl, and afterwards even the prosecutor seemed to agree with the judge's decision.
One, if you do the crime that Cheryl Pearson did, you will do some time in jail.
The other message is that there are people out there willing to help anyone who is in a situation, as Cheryl Pearson said she was in.
Cheryl's boyfriend, who delivered the payoff money after the killing, will be sentenced later this week. The teenage hitman is serving 8 to 24 years. Christiana Monpour, CNN, New York.
A wave of aftershocks continues to rumble through Southern California. Early today, a quake measuring 3.4 on the Richter scale rattled the San Gabriel Valley. It followed 4 such aftershocks yesterday, which sent thousands of people afraid to go home to city parks. The original quake, measuring 6.1 on the Richter scale, hit the area Thursday. In some places, the aftershocks have knocked out power for air conditioning. Southern California also suffers through a record heat wave. Temperatures in Los Angeles peaked at 108 today for the second day in a row. And the heat has aggravated another rash of forest fires, as Greg Lamont reports.
The 7,200-acre fire in the Cleveland National Forest threatened to destroy more homes. The fire, 60 miles north of San Diego, had been burning out of control since Saturday.
We've lost 3 residences and 3 outbuildings, a total of 6 structures. The injuries amount to about 10.
Right now, our main concern is 4 structures in this immediate area.
The owners of threatened homes took no chances. They packed their cars and were ready to flee at a moment's notice.
Fire came across the ridge and then in little V shapes came down. It was very scary. I watched it just creep down the mountain closer and closer.
We've been moving vehicles, the better vehicles, and we've been saturating the grove and just getting hoses ready.
The heat was a major factor in both wearing down the firefighters and creating ideal conditions for the fires to spread. Temperatures over the weekend were well into the hundreds, and it is feared the fires will get much larger before containment occurs. What fears do you have at this particular stage of the game that this could become a 12,000-acre fire, let's say?
I think there's a real good possibility of it getting to that size or maybe even larger.
The 700 firefighters lit backfires in hopes of encircling the inferno and bringing it under control. The latest fire was but one of dozens to scorch the west. More than 850,000 acres of forest and brush have burned since late August in northern and southern California, Oregon, Idaho, Utah, and Wyoming. The cause of the latest blaze in the Cleveland National Forest is unknown. Firefighters hope for some containment soon, which would certainly not be too soon for worried homeowners. Greg Lamont, CNN, the Cleveland National Forest.
And Headline Sports is next.
For the Headline News Network 24 hours a day, call your cable operator.